Hello, everyone. Happy week 2. Hope everyone's staying nice and cool. It's like 100 degrees outside. But welcome to the design project at UCI student panel. So today you get an opportunity to kind of hear from some from some team members from projects at UCI, hear what they do, how they got involved, and then have the opportunity to ask some questions later on as well. So I'll start off by introducing our panel, and I'll let you guys kind of take off in order on the screen. So HyperXite, go for it.
Hi, I'm Christine, and I'm HyperXite's project manager this year. I'm a fourth year mechanical engineering student.
Hi, I'm Kishal. I'm also a fourth year mechanical engineering major, and I'm HyperXite's chief engineer. Beverly Ortiz Ramirez is our electronic systems engineer, and I believe she wasn't able to make it out today, but she's a fourth year electrical engineering major.
Rome, are you there? No, we can't hear you. No worries.
All right, how about now?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay, lovely. Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. My name is Roma, pronouns are she, her. I'm a second year mechanical engineering major, and I'm one of the mechanical leads for Solar Car. Excited to be here. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Everyone else is making me look bad out here with these Zoom backgrounds, but my name is RJ, and I'm the chief engineer for UAV Forge. I'm a fourth year mechanical engineering major.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole. I am the project manager of Anteater Formula Racing, which is the internal combustion engine team of the FSAE teams. And I'm also a fourth year mechanical engineering major, and my teammate Alex, he's our powertrain lead. He's running a little bit late. I think he's troubleshooting our engine lab right now. So hopefully he's able to make it out, but if not, that's who he is.
All right, awesome. So we'll get started with our first question, which is, what does your project do? And we can go in the same order, or whoever wants to take first, that's fine too.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. So for HyperXite, we're obviously a mechanical and engineering senior design project under the School of Engineering. And our main goal is to build a Hyperloop pod. We're currently in our 7th year, and we're building our pod this year to compete in a competition called European Hyperloop Week. And that's basically a competition that's composed of various Hyperloop teams around the world going to compete in the Netherlands in July to share like new Hyperloop technologies and discoveries that they had, and obviously like run their pods against each other. So here at the scope of UCI, we aim to have our students be empowered by applying their classroom knowledge and having the flexibility to explore their own interests. So our team is currently pretty small. We have 23 people on our team, and we give them the flexibility to design and create their pod components however they want, obviously contingent on the fact that they meet the competition rules. And this year, we're looking to develop our own linear induction motor alongside our current pod development. And we have really high ambitions to integrate that linear induction motor technology onto next year's pod.
It's really exciting to hear about other senior design projects. So like HyperXite, Solar Car is also a senior design project that kind of is centered around a competition. And so Solar Car's goal is to also help their students apply the knowledge that they've learned in their classrooms to a solar powered car that competes in the American Solar Car Challenge or Formula Sun Grand Prix. So currently we have about 30 to 40 students on our team, including the mechanical, electrical, and business sub-teams. And we're looking forward to implementing solar arrays onto the next iteration of our car, and currently finishing up the first iteration of our car, which is an electrical version of our car.
Yeah, likewise. It's really cool to hear what everyone else is doing. So UAV Forge is a project where about 35 students design, fabricate, test, and program an autonomous drone, so an unmanned aerial vehicle, to accomplish autonomous navigation and imaging. So we compete in a competition called AVSI Student Unmanned Aerial Systems Competition. And every year we go to Maryland, and it's supposed to kind of simulate an automated package delivery service. So say a company like Amazon wanted to design and program a drone to pick up a package and drop it off at a certain location. That's kind of what our project is supposed to simulate. And something a little bit different is that about half of our team are computer science majors. So it's not just mechanical and electrical. We get kind of interdisciplinary with the School of ICS.
Really cool. Actually, I didn't know you guys had so many computer science majors. We have a few as well. But as far as FSAE internal combustion, so Formula SAE is what FSAE stands for, SAE being Society of Automotive Engineers. SAE actually is an internationally accredited organization, and they put on a few different collegiate competitions, many of them more well-known being the race car competitions, that being our internal combustion formula style car, the electric vehicle car, and the Baja car. I believe there's also at the SAE cargo plane team. But we are the internal combustion engine car. So we each year design, manufacture, test, and ultimately compete with an open wheel Formula One style car. So you think basically a slightly shrunken go-kart version of an F1 car, top speed about 65 miles per hour. And we run a motorcycle engine on that. So really exciting. There's a competition that we prepare for as well. The location changes each year. So this year it's going to be in Michigan, and we're preparing this year's car to compete at the Michigan Motor Speedway. It's codenamed Peter the Pavement Eater, if you guys catch the reference there. But it's very exciting because there's a couple different aspects to the competition that we prepare for. So aside from our actual car itself, with being able to compete and make sure that we had top-notch engineering with various different things and all of our different sub-teams, we also have a static portion to the competition, which includes a business presentation, a cost event to make sure that we effectively utilized our funding and all of that variety as well. So we can definitely get into more questions as you guys have them. But yeah, pretty much sums it up for us.
Awesome, you guys are all so cool. Okay, next question is, how did you get involved? And once again, just whoever wants to go first, go for it.
Yeah, I guess I can start this off. For how did I get involved? You know, I found out about how HyperXite through just their website, and I had known about HyperXite as a freshman because of their competition with SpaceX. Every year, the team puts out an application online through the School of Engineering, so you can probably find that out when we send that out this year. And I just applied, I interviewed. I think one of the things that is most notable is that I didn't have a lot of experience coming in, and I think a lot of people feel like they need a lot of experience to get into a senior design project, but I'm sure the other senior design projects can also vouch for the fact that we're not necessarily just looking for a lot of experience. And I was one of the people who didn't have that much experience, but I got on the team and I would say grew a lot as an engineer. So I'll leave it at that.
I can go next. I actually got involved through receiving an email from the School of Engineering that the team was recruiting, and it was a little bit out of pattern recruitment than usual. Generally, the race car teams recruit sort of at the end of the spring quarter or beginning of kind of sometime around summer for admission into the fall quarter. Since it's a year-long project, we build a car start to finish, but it was a random winter quarter, and I've actually been interested in F1 and happened to see the email, and I was like, no way, we have a formula team, that's really exciting. So I applied and was grateful to be let in, and since then I've just kind of gotten more involved. I actually started on the electronics sub team last year and moved into management this year, which has been a really exciting transition.
I can go.
Go
Sorry.
ahead, Rick. Go ahead,
Okay.
Rick.
Appreciate it. So I'm actually also a transfer student. I transferred last year from Cal Poly Pomona. And so in one of the first classes I took here, MA 60 with Professor Kopp, I was really enjoying it, went to a lot of office hours and asked Professor Kopp if he had any projects that he was advising or that he knew about. And he was the advisor for UAV Forge. So ever since then, I was kind of hooked, and it's become like a second family to me. And I know how intimidating it can be coming in from a different university. You're a junior, you might not know a lot of people, but I would say put yourself out there and you'll find some opportunities that you really enjoy.
I would definitely agree with Rick about putting yourself out there. Here at Solar Car, we have a lot of actually transfer students who have joined the team, and they've succeeded and done so well and grown so much as engineers. But as for me personally, the way that I got involved with Solar Car, similar to Nicole, Solar Car, had pretty much finished recruitment for their fall quarter, but they had come to a SWE general meeting to talk about senior design projects, much like a panel like this, and they actually had a position open. And so as a first year, I kind of went for it, applied for it, put myself out there, even though I wasn't really confident in a lot of my skills. And I interviewed with them and got the position. So it really came down to timing and also putting myself out there. Yeah.
All right, if no one else wants to tackle it, I will move on to the next question, which is, what skills do you think you gained from being on this project, whether that be soft skills or technical skills?
I can go ahead and get started.
Sure.
So for me, just within the scope of what I do, so I am the project manager for this year, and so I think I'm going to touch a little bit on some of the more soft skills that I've been able to grow. So for me, I think one of the big things is like learning how to manage, like managing like my team's time as well as my own time, because it's like, yeah, you can expect a lot of people to like as much as you want everyone to put their whole 100%, like 110% into the team, it's really hard to like, you have to remember that people also have their lives at the end of the day. And it's something that, I think our management teamwork did really well on, is like being able to balance that out. But it definitely didn't come like very easy at first. There were points where we like put too much work on people, or maybe we like didn't put enough on and then we're scrambling at the end. And it's something like timeline planning is something that I definitely was able to improve on this year. And obviously there's still a lot more to grow on. But I guess like in terms of personal aspects, I think just really realizing like that it's okay to not know everything. Coming in as a new project manager, I didn't have a lot of logistical backgrounds, and through trial and error and just seeing how much my team grows. And we do a lot of feedback forums within the team just to see what we can do better. And it's really encouraging when I see my team say like, oh, we really like everything that management is doing, or there are these certain aspects, like we really like how the meetings are met or the meetings are run, or like how this is structured. And it's just made me feel like a lot more confident in myself and my ability to lead other people. And I'm sure that's true for people within their own sub teams, like when they see things come into fruition exactly how they wanted it to. I think it's just, a lot of positive reinforcement. And it's made me a lot confident as like a leader within this team and for my own personal life.
I personally think that I had a lot of skills that I gained similar to Christine, because the mechanical lead position is a little bit more of management rather than technical skills. So yeah, similar to Christine, I had to learn how to use my team's time effectively, and one of the new things that I kind of put into place to help to encourage cross collaboration across sub teams, and also to encourage a lot more of our students to speak with others and learn more from their peers within the teams, was something called like study hours. So it was just an hour or so a week that was really dedicated to just sitting down together as a team and working on any work that you had related to Solar Car. And I think our powertrain lead on the electrical side of things, Jessica, was able to join last minute as well. So she can probably clue you in on some things that she learned as well.
Yeah, I definitely think that joining Solar Car has taught me a lot of valuable skills. One of them definitely is kind of accommodating everyone's workload, since I believe one of our panelists have mentioned before that everyone has like their own life at the end of the day. So trying to understand each and every member's individual workloads, where their headspace is at, whether or not they feel overwhelmed or whether or not they feel comfortable taking on additional tasks is definitely something that I found pretty valuable. And especially having been one of the sub-team members before, it's something that I would have found helpful for me as well if I were, back in that position. But at the end of the day, it's really validating, or not validating, but it's really valuable to see how everyone appreciates hearing that kind of feedback and having that sense of community when they realize that everyone's heard and everyone's valued in the team.
Yeah, I agree with a lot with what's been said already. I think.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Ed.
I was just going to add on top of the soft skills that everyone has mentioned, which are absolutely fantastic to be able to get the experience with. A lot of the projects do also give you a lot of hands-on experience with manufacturing. I know an example, our team does a lot of different manufacturing processes. We weld both MIG and TIG welding. We do angle grinding, we do carbon fiber wet layups, so many different manufacturing processes that are really difficult to get hands-on experience with in any other setting. And I know firsthand as a transfer student, my community college didn't have any of that. And so being able to be on the electronics sub-team and actually manufacturing the wiring harness was really incredible experience to learn. And you get that from any of these projects, depending on what specialization you want to do or what exactly you want to get into. So.
Yeah, I really agree with that. And I think depending on the project, the culture can be different with what's been said before with the work-life balance. I know we kind of take a mentality of work hard, play hard, and I'm sure every project has their own culture surrounding it. But as for the skills, I think there's a project and a place on a project for whatever you're interested in. If you're interested in CAD, there's gonna be plenty of spots for that. If you're interested in thermodynamics, aerodynamics, in programming, there's gonna be a different project and a different position on each project that kind of fits your skills. So whatever technical skills you want to learn and apply, I think there's going to be a place for it. And with what Nicole was saying about manufacturing, projects are the place where you can get firsthand experience, hands-on experience, working on hardware that may not be available in your other classes. So we have plenty of labs, but the equipment is kind of generalized and you may not get to go as in-depth as you want. In a project team, you have the ability to go more in-depth or get more breadth, and you can kind of get out what you put into it and make it your own experience.
I would have to agree with what Rick said. I think senior design projects are the place where you can gain manufacturing skills, and it's where I got my own manufacturing skills. I learned how to tap and die things. A couple of our members have learned how to use metal lathes or have learned MIG welding, and so I think what it really centralizes on what all of the people in our team, and I'm sure this is similar to other senior design projects as well, but what they've really learned is how to design things to be manufactured. I think in a lot of our classes, we're told to design, specific things, or if you take an ME52 here, like you've designed maybe like a robot or like a ship or something. But with senior design projects, you're actually designing something that you have to be able to produce and see in real life. And so I think that's a huge, huge skill that is transferable to industry that a lot of our alumni from Solar Car had also taken. So I think that's just a really huge skill that you learn from senior design projects. Yeah.
I totally agree with that. I think this past year, we had someone design a landing leg, and the manufacturing plan was to just 3D print it. And it was this huge 12-inch, really thick landing leg. And so design for manufacturing is huge, kind of like what Roma was saying.
I think,
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to mention that another point that's pretty valuable is kind of working with what you have. So you're not going to have unlimited funds or unlimited resources. And sometimes there are certain setbacks like parts shortages. So definitely being resourceful and trying to find creative solutions or finding a way to work around the roadblock that you have is definitely a skill that you gain in senior design projects.
All right, awesome. So move on to the next question, which is, what has been the most difficult part of being in your project?
I think, at least for me, time management has been a big one, since when it comes to senior design projects, when you join, it's definitely something that you want to budget your time for, because at the end of the day, you invest a lot of time, you get really interested, and you want to put as much time and give your 100%. But at the end of the day, we have other courseworks, we have other obligations, we have our own lives outside of it. So finding a balance between making sure you're making meaningful contributions and learning as much as you like to learn, and making sure that you're getting what you wanted out of it, is, plus managing your course load, is definitely something that has been challenging, but you find a way to make it work.
I think on a technical note, senior design is supposed to be something where you're able to apply your classroom knowledge. And that's not always necessarily the easiest thing. Speaking for, my role on my team, a lot of it is very analysis based. So, you design something, but you want to analyze the efficiency of it, the performance of it. Did what I build or design, is it good enough to go on, the whole system? So a lot of that analysis, you have to draw inspiration from the things that you've learned in your classes. Somebody mentioned thermodynamics. So we learn a lot of things in thermodynamics, but when you have to translate that to something like, hey, I analyze the heat generation in a motor. Well, in your classes, you've learned a lot of equations and you've done a lot of homework, but how do I necessarily translate that to a real life product and analyzing it and actually validating the results I receive? So a lot of it is trying to find resources to go to, may that be professors or other literature. I think it's really difficult to jump into a project and just kind of get started if you don't really know where to start, especially because a lot of our education here at UCI is very theoretical rather than just being, very hands-on like some other schools.
I really agree with that. I think that being on a project is a big shift from learning in the classroom, because in the classroom, a lot of your work is very strictly guided. You have lectures and then assignments that directly relate to those lectures, and then you have a test directly related to those assignments, or sometimes not directly related to those assignments. But in a project, I think you have to be a lot more autonomous as a learner. You have to seek out resources actively and by yourself, and you may not necessarily have that same guidance, but that makes the learning so much more rewarding and fun. As a result.
All right, anyone else want to tackle this question?
Well, I think
I-
I can.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Okay, I was just gonna say, I think the most difficult part for me, and this is, I guess, a little bit more on the project management side of things, but definitely applies to the rest of the team members as well, is limited funding. So, of course, to build something like, a hyperpod loop, or I don't remember the phrasing exactly, I'm sorry, but or a race car, or anything like that, it takes a lot of money to actually create something start to finish. And we are mostly funded by sponsors and donors. We do get some money from like the class fees and whatnot, but it is very expensive for various manufacturing processes and materials that we have to outsource and all that kind of stuff. So working with a limited budget has proven to be fairly difficult, because some things need to be redesigned to be simpler, easier to manufacture, cheaper, all that kind of stuff. And then you start getting into timeline issues of like, okay, we have to redesign this, and now we're pushing the timeline a little bit. So I think that's one of the things I've personally experienced having difficulty with.
Yeah, Nicole kind of brought up a great point, and I think there's more than one senior design project that struggles with that. I think a lot of senior design projects here on campus struggle with funds, and it is true that we have to like redesign things sometimes to fit within our budget, For me personally, I joined as like a freshman on Solar Car. And so for me, what I personally found difficult was just the huge learning curve that I had in the beginning of the team when I joined. A lot of our I think at that time, a lot of our members were third years. And so they're getting into that part of that education that's really meaty, and some classes that focus on taking some of that theory and trying to apply it, like classes like MA 145, which is theory of machines, and that kind of goes over how suspensions in the car work, or how like floor pitches work and things like that. And so for me, I had to take the time to, like develop that knowledge, or to invest in learning outside of that class, and outside of my time spent for Solar Car. So I think that beginning part for me was really difficult, just to adjust to what was going on. And obviously, like it was really nice that I was able to reach out to my leads, and a lot of the times they would just sit down with me, work through things, and explain things, and that was, I think, something that also helped as well. So it really shows you how senior design projects are another conduit of learning for students as well. And then I know there's like a question, there's some questions in chat, but yeah, MAE just means that like the project is is a mechanical and aerospace engineering major, but it doesn't mean that you can't use it for your own senior design project. And if you're a non-mechanical or aerospace engineering major, you can still be part of the project. Jessica's CSE, and she's on the project as well.
Yeah, I would say that it's kind of a mixed bag when it comes to the people that join. There are a lot of different majors, but at the end of the day, we have a common goal in Solar Car, and that's of course to learn and produce a solar car that's ready for competition. So as long as you're interested, you're free to apply, as long as you're willing to put in the time and the effort. So I agree with Roma, the learning curve is definitely pretty steep, but it's a fun process too. There is a lot of support out there, such as our leads and our faculty advisors and such.
Awesome. Yeah, and I apologize for not checking the chat. It messes with my screen. But yeah, you don't have to be a mechanical or aerospace engineer to join an MAE project. I'm a chemie. I was on an MAE project for 2.5 years, for 2 years. So there's like, most of the time, there's no requirement for what major you are. And a lot of times they'll kind of group majors based on whatever parts of the project that they can work on. So just putting that out there. And then kind of on the flip side of that question, what has been the most rewarding part of being in the project?
For me, I guess I'll start. I think one of the most rewarding things is being able to see the things that you've designed from like the beginning of the year, like finally coming into fruition, and like being able to hold it. I feel like the coolest thing is like knowing that you built this thing like in SolidWorks or like on the computer, and you've like done all this analysis, and by the end it's like your parts come in and it's like time to assemble or it's time to manufacture, and it's like, wow, like this is all of my hard work like coming into this physical like tangible thing that I can like hold and see. I don't know, I just think that's like really cool, and I feel like a lot of other students on senior design teams probably feel the same way. But I guess for someone that oversees like is in a more managerial role, I think it's also really cool to see like how people learn and grow over the course of the year. For us, I guess like one specific example is, I guess a little less technical, but we have all of our students present their work every week at our general meetings. And at first, I remember when they first joined, some of them were like, not super confident speakers, or like not very concise when they speak, but having to do it like week after week, you kind of see like, their ability to present and have like a presence in front of the team really grow. And I don't know, I think it's just like seeing like technical work and also like personal development grow over the years. For someone that is like one of the leaders of the team, I think that's just really rewarding.
I wholeheartedly agree with everything that you just mentioned, Christine. It pretty much sums it up for me. The only thing that I personally would want to add is that growth aspect is so rewarding, especially being in a leadership role. Like I'm the project manager as well. So getting to see that has absolutely been my favorite part as well. And a particular example being, we also have weekly general meetings where we go over like a status report of the car and everything that's happening. But we also give an opportunity to have presentations, generally about once a week, from either like industry professionals, faculty advisors, our own students who feel that they're a subject matter and a certain expert and all that kind of stuff. And I actually gave a presentation about like being a professional and like resume tips, interview tips, all that kind of stuff. And being able to be a resource like that for the team is just really rewarding. And having people message you like, thank you so much for your presentation, it really helped me. And just things like that the camaraderie, I think, is another portion of that that's just been the most rewarding part. I mean, you sit in a classroom and there's 10 of your teammates sitting there and you already know you have people for group projects, all that stuff too.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what's been said. I think one of the most gratifying parts is kind of just taking a step back and looking at the community that's developed. And it really is kind of like a second family. You can see the relationships that people have made that may not have happened if the project wasn't there. And I'll also be a little bit of a sellout here, but I think one of the most gratifying parts was hearing that members get accepted to full-time positions and internships over the summer at Northrop Grumman, Boeing, L3 Harris, machine learning startups, and hearing that what they talked about during their interview was mostly UAV Forge and their project experience. So that's an extremely gratifying part and another big benefit to joining these projects.
I would definitely agree with what Christine, Nicole, and Rick have all said. Yeah, it's really just, while we as a team are here working together on this project, not only do you grow as like a student, learning and applying your knowledge, but you also form so many friendships on the way. And some of the people that I know from Solar Car, I definitely wouldn't have known otherwise. And like we've helped each other out in so many different things, not just with Solar Car, but with other things as well. And then also, yeah, like it gives, I think, being part of a senior design project gives you so many opportunities, just because you have that sort of practical experience on your resume and you're able to talk about the impact that you've had on your team. I think something that a lot of our team members have realized, because like HyperXite and Anteater Racing, we have like general meetings, and once a quarter we'll have like an in-depth performance review of how each individual has contributed to the team. And I think a lot of our team members don't realize how much they've done for the team until they get to that presentation, and they're kind of forced to reflect on what they've done throughout the quarter and how they've impacted the team. And it's just amazing to be able to facilitate that as a lead, and to see some of my most shy and like timid team members come up there and present and talk about how they did some hand calculations that helped us design the second iteration of our car, or helped form like a new design requirement and things like that. So I think for me that's definitely been really rewarding.
Great, awesome. If anyone has anything else to add, if not, we'll go to our next question, which I believe is our last question, and then we'll open up for Q&A. But what can other students do to join your project if they're interested?
For us in particular, we generally open up for engineering positions. We open up our recruitment period towards the end of spring quarter or early summer, like I mentioned before, for admission into the fall quarter. So we, a little bit unique, we do ask for a 3-quarter commitment because we have to see through the design, manufacture, and actual testing of the car and everything throughout the entire year, since our competition is always in June. So we'll actually be sending that out likely towards the end of this quarter, and that'll come through in the School of Engineering email, various Discords, our Instagram, which is just at Anteater Formula Racing, and various other things as well. And it's a form, it's on Airtable, but it's very similar to a Google form. And the process from there is interview and see where, you know, we might think that you fit and that sort of thing, and go from there. But I did want to highlight, we do actually also have marketing positions open currently, our newest sub team being our marketing sub team. So if you're thinking about maybe getting involved with the team and you like doing things like social media, content creation, being involved with the engineering, but not as much of a commitment to actually the design of it, then feel free to reach out for that as well.
For our team, we have a similar process. So we usually open our applications near the end of the quarter or early summer. And this is also a 3-quarter commitment. We have an application online, and if we see that your skills and interests do seem fit to our team, then we will contact you and just set up interviews. Interviews usually take about a month more or less, and then usually fall or summer, we start up our team.
So Jessica, do you want to go ahead?
No, I was just going to say our recruitment process is pretty much the same. We're accessible through Instagram, so that's UCI Soul Eaters, or we typically recruit towards the end of spring or early summer. We have a Google form open that has a list of descriptions for our positions and what the positions entail, so the responsibilities. So we ask that you fill out the form, and we'll contact you for an interview if we see that our interests and the skills that we're looking for line up. And after that, it's an interview that will take a couple of weeks to finish up. And after that, we'll contact you for potential onboarding if you're still interested. Roma, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah, no, I think you pretty much got it down to a T. I think the only thing that I would add is I'm not completely sure if we're looking for if we're going to have open positions at the end of spring quarter, but you know, if there are, definitely keep an eye out on your email for an email from the School of Engineering at the end of spring quarter. And then we are also most likely going to be recruiting at the beginning of fall quarter. So there's kind of like 2 potential opportunities for you guys to send in your application there. And then I'll also drop my email and our senior design projects email. If you have any questions after today, or if you want to see if there are specific positions open, or how you can maybe prepare for a specific position that you want to apply for in the future. Yeah.
All right, I'll round it up with UAV Forge. So we have our formal process, which is really similar to what everyone else has said. We'll send out a mass email to engineering students and have a Google form. But we also have a little bit less formal process. If you hear about the project, or if you want to join through a friend, we open our general meetings to everyone. And typically what we'll do is we'll assign you a task in whatever subject area you're interested in. So CAD, programming, aerodynamics, and then based on whether you like the project and whether we're happy with the work you're putting out, we can add you to MA 93 as soon as next quarter. So we have both of those avenues. If you're interested in something like that, I put the UAV Forge email in the chat, and we'd be happy to set something up.
All right, awesome. And I think now we can open it up to the audience for some questions, and I will go through the chat and see if there's anyone who had a question that we didn't get to. But if you do have a question, feel free to either put it in the chat or to unmute yourself and ask.
Oh, I was gonna ask for Anteater Formula Racing. Does the team compete in the competition?
We do, yeah. So
Oh, okay, okay.
we're preparing this year for the competition in June in Michigan. So like I mentioned previously, the competition has both the parts that involve actually the car, where we get to see if we made a car that goes fast, like skid pad, acceleration,
Mhm.
autocross, all that stuff. And then there's also the static portions. So we get to test how well we did at documentation and presentation of our design
Oh,
material and everything like that.
oh, okay, okay. I was on the EV team for Caltech, but do you, I don't know how it works for the ICU team. You're part of the ICU team, right?
Yes,
Is there an
yeah,
EV team
there is
or
an EV team. Yeah,
are
so I
they like
believe
understaffed and they don't really compete?
their car is a lot more complex with their
Mhm.
battery packs, and I believe they
Yeah, I
generally
know.
use 2-year cars.
Mhm.
So the car that they're designing this year will compete not this spring, but the following spring.
I see, I see. Yeah, it's similar to how we did it. Um, okay. Is there a contact for the EV team or
Yeah,
is it
actually,
unavailable?
let me find their project manager's name is Fiona. I'll find her email for you and link it in the
Oh, okay,
chat.
okay. Thanks. Yeah, I was interested in UAV Forge and the EV team. Um, I was gonna ask how, never mind. Sorry.
No worries. Any other questions? And I think all of our questions in the chat got answered. Thank you to everyone who answered those questions. Cool. If there are no more questions, thank you to everyone for attending, and a special thank you to all of our people on our panel. Thank you for taking the time out. Really appreciate it. And I hope you guys learned some stuff. And full disclosure, this will be on our YouTube page within the next day or so. So if you want to come back and review it, feel free to do that. Thank you for attending. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, thank you for having us. It was great to talk about my experience. Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
feel free to reach out if you have
Thank you.
interest in solar car.
I will stick around if anyone has any last words.
Bye, everyone. Have a fantastic evening.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you for having us. Good
Yeah,
night.
of course.
Okay.
Bye.
See ya.
I just wanted to say this was really awesome. I'm always happy to talk about UAV Forge. So thanks for
Yeah,
giving
of course.
me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Thank you.
See you, Sarah.
Bye.